is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Back with friends. Guess who's what? Freaking stinks. Guess who's back?
since the beginning, I'm alone doing my content, everything, and I just have my friend that's helping me for setting up a school, etc. But I want to now work more than 30 minutes per day and try to recruit the right team.
It's a lot, though.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm very lazy. I don't like to work. I like to do the less possible to make the most possible. But now I'm ready to work a little bit more. And
this is the perfect French person for like this whole thing's amazing. Sorry, keep going.
So now I want to ask you, who I have to recruit? Like what kind of people I have to go? I have to recruit in my team, close to me, to scale, to make more, maybe more views, more not more views, but to helping me for the content, give me ideas.
Maybe just try working for an hour instead of 30 minutes. Maybe you don't need to recruit anyone.
Yeah, you could 8x your output if you work 4 hours a day.
Yeah, but
It's cool.
no, sorry, I really don't like to work.
No, so to answer the question, really, so when we think about building teams or even companies or revenue lines, whatever it is, like we think hire 1 to hire 10. And so the idea is like we spend a huge amount of time on trying to find a really, really good person who already has a network, already knows the playbook, and they're going to try and apply what they've learned before into your business. So rather than trying to take people who are lower and then spending all the time to train them up, it's far more productive. No, it costs more, but it's faster. But you have the cash. Yeah, you have the cash.
But where?
I mean, you can whenever you want. I mean, sorry, use where?
LinkedIn?
Like LinkedIn. Yeah. You do outreach. I mean, also a really simple way is so when I think about recruiting for a business, if I'm going to have that be an internal function or an external function, if it's a one-off role that I'm looking at, I'm willing to pay a headhunter a ton of money to go do that because they already have a network of people, a huge pool of people that they're keeping warm, and I'd rather just pay the money to get the problem solved and have really amazing candidates sent to me for a lot more. If I'm going to have a role that I'm going to have repeated, so for example, salespeople, editors, those are roles that, customer success, if you have that, like those are going to be roles that I have a lot of. And so those are things that I'm going to keep internal because it's core to how the business functions. And so when it's like niche expertise leader that I'm not going to hire a ton of, then I'll pay. I'll also kick off internal stuff if I can, but I'll be more willing to pay for an outside recruiter.
Okay. So what's the name of the content strategist? Is that I need?
Yeah.
Yeah,
director of content strategy.
Okay, all good. Thank you.
Yes. Glad I can help. And you can space the work between 3 or 4 days, so it's 30 minutes each. It might take you 2 hours, so like 4 days to do. Yeah.
I'm torn between a paid group and a free group, and as soon as the free group added some tiers, the upsells are shot up. So I'm kind of
they shot up as in they went up.
Yeah, that's straight away. And even though it's quite hard to find, upgrade button please. But I'm feeling.
But it really is quite hard to find. He's got a very good point.
Yeah. Well, I just create a little Bitly link and put tiers and levels, so that and everything I do is drop it there, and it's just the numbers are shot up. So I'm feeling, should I just let this paid group go? It's just about 10K, and I let it go, and then just keep the tiers within the free. So, but before I do that, I want to know, is there going to be much more focus on tiers in the future for it to evolve, or should I just stay with the paid group?
Well, I'll definitely make tiers better. I know that it's far from perfect.
That's great.
It's new, and it confused the shit out of a lot of people. And I have a lot of work to do, basically, which is why I don't want to ship anything for like a long time. I just want to perfect what we've already got, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll 100% get a lot better. But whether you should ditch your paid community, I mean, that would be kind of reckless until this one makes the same, or at least it looks like it's quickly going to make the same or more, right?
Yeah, it's just getting a little bit confusing for the people in it. And I feel if, for instance, I could just have, if there were going to be posts and I can make a post and say, okay, this post, only people in premium or VIP would get to view that post, then I'd be all in on just the free with tiers.
How far away is your freemium group and MRR from the paid one?
In what sense?
Like dollars wise, like how close is it?
Oh yeah, one's 2,000, but I didn't even do anything with it. It just popped up really quickly. Whereas
you actively try really hard for 10 and then 2 disappeared. How long is it taking to get to 10 in the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. How long did it take to get to 2 in the freemium?
2 weeks.
Chill.
I'd say if you can get to 4.
Yeah. The other thing, because I'm guessing you're trying to just consolidate attention, so there's only one group. So one thing that Sam said on the Skool News, which I think is a really important point, is like, let's see how everything goes. Like, of course, there's many people who've asked for that specific feature, but the question is like, it's very easy to think of ideas of things we could build versus there are far more limited problems that need to be solved. So said differently, are freemium groups struggling to get upgrades, which clearly they're not, but are freemium groups struggling to get upgrades with tiers because the posts are not gated? Turns out that doesn't seem to be something, for right now, and at least in your experience, it doesn't seem to be something that's preventing people. If anything, it hasn't affected them at all. And there's probably a strong counter argument, which is that everyone being able to see everything allows, basically there's way more advertising that's occurring to the free members because people who are paying are talking about it in the free community rather than removing those people who are the highest, most engaged members and putting them somewhere else and then no one really hearing about it unless you promote it. It's so much easier to just let all the other people promote for you and then they just naturally ascend. And I'll bet you the churn on those $2,000 a month is probably lower than the 10. So from a transition perspective, if you were to take the position that like, hey, we're converting a higher percentage and it's happening faster in my freemium group, all you have to do is draw the line and know what month that it's going to pass. But you could just say, cool. And a lot of people do this with like when they transition from dead Facebook groups over to Skool is they say, hey, I'm turning off posts. Everybody just transfer over. I'll give you guys 30 days or whatever to make the transition. And how many people do you have in the $10,000 a month group?
90.
Yeah. So I mean, like 90 people, you could just like message them and just say, hey, I'll give you like sign up over here starting next month because I'm going to be posting all the stuff there. And you probably would be able to save 80, 90% if you just want to consolidate the attention.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing of having the attention. And what you just said there is there are guys talking in the private group, talking about the live academy once a week that they get access to, that other people don't get access to, but they're not hearing the conversations. But as soon as they start talking, oh, we covered this, we were talking about that, then everybody else, oh, what's this? I want to be part of that as well.
Can I tell you something? So when I ran Gym Launch many years ago, I did not want to have separate calls because I didn't want to do more calls, right? 30 minutes a day. And so I had Gym Launch customers and Legacy, which was our upsell, which was 42,000 a year versus 16, again, B2B. I had all of them on the same calls. And so I would do Q&A, and then someone from Legacy would ask a question that people in launch were like, wait, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's just something for Legacy. And then the people who were in Legacy were like, dude, it's sick, it's awesome, you should totally, like, if you're not in it, go now. And then people would just buy. And so it ended up being every day, because I did back in the day, it was every day that I did this, but 5 days a week I would do a live call, and anybody could ask questions. And that's how I didn't have a support team. I just said, I'll take all support questions. But that ended up being kind of a de facto sales mechanism, because people could ask with the higher tier about those things, and then it would just naturally ascend to people. We did 2,000. You're doing 1,000 a week in growth on the free group, and it took you a year to get to 10,000. So if we just did simple math and projections, you'll probably make more money in the freemium group. And this is not even like for anybody who, like, if you have different stats, don't like take this as one, blanket statement. But for you, 2,000 in 2 weeks versus 10,000 in a year. Yeah, I mean, draw the line.
So the people in the paid private group posted all in this freemium one?
Not as much, no. They
Yeah.
haven't been. They kind of like a little bubble over
I
there.
see.
But as soon as they started posting, and then I told them we were going to be winding that down, those posts started being a catalytic, like a catalytic to growth, basically, for the
Was
existing
that
members.
what was making people upgrade to the paid in the freemium? Is the people from the private group starting to have discussions in the free group?
Yeah, it's because basically the only difference
Evelyn,
is that
I
they got
can't
access
hear
to
you.
live
You're
training
only in the
discussions,
chat.
and now they're referencing those discussions.
So it sounds like
in
that's
depth.
something that might be working.
I can't hear you. You're not like
I
on
mean,
a
you- I
call.
mean,
It's definitely
You're just
separated.
watching
Yeah, I mean,
the
like, it's okay. You had these two, the new feature came out, and then it ended up helping you, making you more money. Great.
Mm.
And so to the whole, like, I want to gate this thing, it's like, why? It's a great sales tool. And it clearly isn't preventing people from buying.
My theory and feeling is that if we do it right, I think it can work better. But we have to try it. If it doesn't, I won't be, I'll accept it and then allow people to do the segmenting. But I don't think that's the answer. And I think we'll find out. I want to find out.
We're also acting against our economic interest by even saying this, just to be clear. So, like, if we make more money if you have two communities. So we're just trying to, like,
An extra $9.
yeah, that's right. Big baller, shot caller. So,
I mean, you come from the fitness club market, so did I in the UK, and I always found it's a little bit like if I've got a member and there's a special extra or a cheaper membership for low usage area, but you can't use this gym, you've got to go into the gym next door. I like them all to use the same, but they're all just being exposed. Oh, there's a class going on there. But that's an extra membership
yeah,
level.
they got to see it though. Right, that's the key. Like, we always walk people through the semi-private area to get to the group area. So it's like, oh no, this Cadillac is not for you. You can go drive the Honda over there. They're like, but I want to. It's like, oh well, you want to talk to somebody, and then and the upgrade happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I had one feature request, it would be able to put the videos in there that we link to those live trainings. But when they go to click on it, they can't watch it until they upgrade their tier.
Yeah.
And that would be for me the most.
I think we'll
natural
start with
upsell.
like the most basic thing, which is like a good upgrade button, right? Like,
Yeah.
because that's
Imagine.
a definite, it's a good win. Hard to miss with it, honestly.
I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then there's some other ideas I've got, but I don't want to say it on this recording. So we can talk about it later today.
Yeah.
But I think you'll be interested in them because I've been thinking about it a lot.
We'll always solve for what makes everybody in the community the most money and provides the best community.
Cool. I figured I would come back to the question that you asked earlier. There's you had asked what were like some of the underutilized things on Skool, and two things that I've seen that are like massively underutilized. I don't know if Sam will agree with this first one, but first of all, categories, because
We were having a debate yesterday whether they were necessary or not. So
but you can't argue with, like, it gives you a flavor of what the community is for. You literally have to pick one before you make a post. And so at a glance, even if you're new or if you're coming back in for a while, you get like a really good understanding of like the parameters you can interact with. So that's one. But more importantly than that I still see get way underused is pin rotations. Because when you're like crafting the culture within your community, like, yeah, sure, you want to make shout outs about what you think is important. But when you're finding something that's like really positive, like someone speaking as you want them to, and you like support them by pinning that post, it reinforces the positive, and then you kind of like ignore the negative, and it makes culture happen really freaking fast. So I just want to offer those.
I think a good way to think about it is model citizens.
Yeah.
So like you want to be clear on your about page with what type of person you want and what this is about. But then when you find the model citizens, the people that you wish the whole community were just like that, pinning them and rotating pinned examples, not just your announcements. Like one announcement from you is probably fine, but then pin a great example. It does so much for shaping the culture because everyone's like, oh, that's what we need to be like. And if we be like that, we might get pinned. And it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
And I think to your point about like rotating them. So once you have the model citizen, it's just like find another one every 2 days that you can just keep cycling, so it keeps it fresh and new.
It's cool too. Like if you have a lot of engagement, like as your community grows, a lot of communities get to the point where they'll rotate twice a day. So there's actually boosted engagement because like, oh, if I didn't get it this time, well, maybe I'll get it later today. And they'll either keep commenting on their existing post or make a new one. So it drives engagement like that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's me. Yeah. Okay. I just want to say thanks so much. I have a practice of all places, South Louisiana, and we help people from all over the world with the best alternative methods in the world. And Skool has allowed me to help people all over the world at home. And so in that capacity, we have this community that we developed, and it's called Body Charters. And in the community, my question is, should we have individual groups for individual conditions? Because it's somewhat confusing to people when they get there and it's overwhelming. There's so much information on what to do with technology for home. I always tell people we need tech in today's world to deal with tech at home. And it's confusing as to what condition they have and what to do when we have a whole model in one. So should we have individual health conditions and different groups to make you more money? I guess is the question.
Maybe. I need to know a lot more information. We should talk about it. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to give you just some shitty answer.
Sure.
Yeah, but maybe not. It depends like how big it is. It depends what problems are currently existing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
managing like 5 groups would suck.
Yeah.
Like
It
it would take. Yeah, I wonder if there's a an 80-20 solution. Maybe the categories could be
Yeah.
used differently. Like
When you said qualifications earlier, it just keeps ringing in my ear. If you want to go to the Parkinson's group, if you want to go to the autoimmune group, you want to go to the concussions
is
group.
the solution for each of those different?
Not necessarily.
Mm.
There's some tweaks, but there's an overall general concept that they have to be following. And they're just oversold online by people that don't have practices, haven't done it for 27 years, haven't figured it out. And so they're somewhat skeptical, but yet we're proving that they're not. So
It's a tough one. I mean, segmented messaging from a conversion perspective will do better. Actually, do we have results on our segmentation stuff?
What, the personalized pages?
Yeah.
Did worse.
Did worse? There you go.
Just
So-
the data you were looking for.
Yeah, that's exactly just the data I was looking for. So so it might convert worse. Again, it's like I've seen some that just like blow it out of the water. Because I have a different example where I know I'll say a buddy is a super SEO guy, and so he does logistics shipping, and he's got 400 different individual pages, per thing. Obviously, that's a lot of work, but that's the game he's in, and his conversion rates are significantly higher. We've also run tests and it wasn't higher. So there's a huge change from is it worth the squeeze? Like maybe, even if it were better, is it worth having 5 communities? I don't know.
And we'd want to look at all of your current stats, like your churn, your conversion rate, because we've got to assess, is this thing working well? Do people like it? Do you like it? Maybe we shouldn't mess with it, or is it not? So let's do it properly. We've got enough time today. Yeah.
This is it's a good meta topic though, which is like features versus bugs. So one of the things that I think is more common, the smaller the business owner, the more they want to tinker and tweak. And there's a place for that, because when you start out, nothing works and something does, and you got there through tinkering. So you get reinforced for basically fucking with shit over and over again. But once something works, to use a different analogy for this, if there was a mess of bricks on the floor here, and we were to hit random, and then the bricks reassemble into another mess, we can keep hitting random a lot of times, and very rarely will a building appear. Right. So once something actually does work, the likelihood that changing one of those bricks turns into a better building is usually not likely. It usually creates a worse building or another mess. And so one of the fastest ways to solve problems is to decide it's not a problem. And so I think a lot of times we'll tinker with things rather than focusing on what is the order of magnitude problem that I should be solving, but I'm not. And so that's where you get your 10x, 100x improvements in the business rather than the incremental returns. And there's nothing wrong with having the increments and improving things. But if you're how do I get this to 100 times the people, you probably wouldn't worry about this at all. And so I think it's why don't we that's where I probably attack. I try to attack that problem. Why don't 100 times more people know about me? And is any of the things that I'm tinkering in the group the thing that's preventing that? If not, then that's where I'm going to focus my attention.
Hi. Okay. You mentioned tiers. So I was wondering, when I started my community, I thought the majority of value is going to come from the courses and filling it up and stuff like that. But after talking to the users, the community is the ultimate factor. They always get surprised. They're I don't know, it's just it's the thing that keeps them in for. You're laughing, so I'm getting.
No, this was the whole catalyst for why Skool. Sam had his whole story about seeing that everybody would log in, watch a couple things, but then all of their engagement was inside of the community. So
yeah. So I was wondering, are there plans to make tiers access different parts of categories? So for example, we have beginners and okay. So we have beginners that can access the beginner level stuff. They get upgraded, they get to intermediate stuff. They upgrade again, they get to go to advanced stuff. So are there plans for that?
Maybe.
You can do that?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about community specifically. I'm not talking about the classroom. I mean
So I think they were just asking about that.
good use of my question then.
Well, the issue is fundamentally what problem are we solving? Is it that because the only reason to unlock a feature is is it going to improve the experience, which we can measure, does it decrease churn, does it increase ascensions, right? And so, we just talked about some earlier data. Is in 2 weeks they had more ascensions than they normally do, and it was without having that separation. That was kind of the whole discussion earlier. So
Are you using tiers right now?
Not yet.
So you can either use them, see how it goes, or wait until the people that are using them see how it goes.
shit.
And then I'm going to see how it goes.
Henry, is that you? Cryptide BT Dub, is that Henry? It's because my mic was muted. I didn't realize. Oh my god, I don't know how long I've been talking with a muted mic. I am not very clever. Hank, is that you? Henry! Can't hear anything. Who is Indy? Yeah, that's because the video's not playing. What about me? Yeah, okay, Cryptide can hear, and then I'm going to play the video, and then you guys are going to be able to hear.
And then we'll make a decision. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to. My theory is that it might work better without categorizing. I mean, without segmenting everything. But we'll find out for certain. It's just going to take a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be one of those like, can we have DM threads questions that will continue to
Yeah,
happen?
the stream is poop, but I'm just watching. So
Can you hear me?
suck it up, pal.
Hello. So congrats on the launch and looking forward to the
Henry, nobody likes you.
attribution feature. One question on removing a sales team and leveraging brand is it takes a long time to build a brand, of course. So what priority would you put on building that brand so that you can later on leverage it to replace a sales team?
I mean, you could have a brand and a sales team and make a bunch of money too. Like, do you have a sales team right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like stop having a sales team. I think that will probably make you less money in the short term, for sure.
Yeah, whoever in
I'm basically thinking about this as a different
16 is
business altogether. Like, I'm not taking my sales team and letting them go. I still have a sales
I'm
team,
not very
just in a
clever.
different business. So I'm not saying like you're all disappearing.
Yo,
Just like here, I think
Henry,
there's so much more
if
leverage
that
in
is
terms of the
Henry,
number of eyeballs that I have access to. Like, I couldn't have done the launch if I said everybody has to talk to a phone
by the
person
way,
in order to make this purchase. It would have been
what are you
impossible.
doing
I have
tonight? You
400 people on the phones, 24 hours for the 3 days of the event. We had 750 people who got trained up. It's insane, right? In order to do that. And the phones were responsible for like
Text
12
Henry.
million.
What are you
It's just like
doing
there's just it's the scale that's there, like it's just impossible to account for. So again, like what I say for me isn't necessarily applicable for everyone.
Bro, I don't have
But no, I don't think that you should just like kill your phone team. I do think that if you know you're going to invest in the brand long term, the best day to do it was 20 years ago.
But he.
So second best day is now.
You talked about putting more work into pre rather than post.
Yeah.
If my brand is super small, so would you rather do more volume than putting more work on pre?
It's going to be an accordion. So it's kind of like a quantity quality thing. So anybody who's made content for an extended period of time, like a typical process is like, I have to make something. And then when you make something, if you make more than something, you get more than something. And then at some point you make so much something that you're like, man, I made 5 somethings and one of these somethings was responsible for like 80% of my output. You think, man, if I just took the amount of effort I'd take to make that one and I made it only 2 of them, I still get more views. And so then you cut from your many somethings to a few somethings that are better. And all of a sudden your production is the same in terms of output. And then you get better and better at doing that. And you're like, man, I've got 2 somethings. I'll bet you I can get to 5 something that quality. And then you get to 5 something that quality. And then one of those ones is even better. And you're like, oh, what did I do there? What if I just spent the time to make just the 2 somethings at that quality? And then you cut it back down. So it's kind of an accordion that goes back and forth. Otherwise, you become a news channel and you have to post every hour. And there are for sure channels that do that and they maximize. But their advantage, like almost everybody who does like the extraordinarily high volume, is news because the content is made for them.
A PDE.
But the long tail on that content is like 0 because after the week's over, the day's over, it just becomes irrelevant. And so if you're are you an educator?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with education, it's going to be the quality almost more than anything. But you don't even know what quality is because you haven't done enough volume, enough repetitions to figure out like what works and what doesn't. And so I tend to prescribe volume as the first thing to do because you have this big data set that you can actually do something with. Until you have that data to look at of like, I did 100 videos, these 10 did better than the other 90. What was different? Until you get to there.
Might have Hormozy shut up for a second. Bro, Hormozy is ripped. Absolutely jacked. I can't believe there's 4 people watching. Indy 886 Indy, whatever this person is, the person on the screen. Who are you? What is your name? Okay, so for people that didn't know what a partial differential equation is, Cryptide explained it for us. Cryptide, by the way, is an ex-Fortnite gamer. He actually once killed Tfue, so that's his greatest accomplishment for his entire life. But he explains that a partial differential equation, and this is coming from an engineer, so everybody focus up and take notes. A partial differential equation is like a differential equation, but partial. Okay, so I know that might not be clear to all of us regular folk that aren't engineers, but the rest of you guys, you guys now understand that a partial differential equation, aka PDE, is just like a differential equation, but it's partial. All right, I'm glad we're all understanding of that. Oh, Henry, I just realized that like you're gonna hear this like 2 minutes later because the stream is really delayed because I'm streaming from Riverside. So stuff I say now, you're gonna hear in like a minute. It's not very live. There's like it's low-key like a 30-second to 1 minute delay. So like right now there's a 1 minute delay. I wonder if I should just not stream on Riverside then. Should I just stream straight on YouTube so that there's not that delay? That is the real question. I see, said the blind man. Oh, okay. I feel like Indy and Henry are gone because now we're back to 2 people. So
is more common. The smaller the business owner, the more they want to tinker and tweak. And there's a place for that because when you start out, nothing works and then something does, and you got there through tinkering. So you get reinforced for like basically fucking with shit over and over again. But like once something works, to use a different analogy for this, like if there was a mess of bricks on the floor here and we were to hit random and then the bricks reassemble into another mess, we can keep hitting random a lot of times and very rarely will a building appear. Right. So once something actually does work, the likelihood that changing one of those bricks turns into a better building is usually not likely. It usually creates a worse building or another mess. And so one of the fastest ways to solve problems is to decide it's not a problem. And so I think a lot of times we'll tinker with things rather than focusing on like, what is the order of magnitude problem that I should be solving, but I'm not. And so like that's where you get your 10x, 100x improvements in the business rather than the incremental returns. And there's nothing wrong with having, the increments and improving things. But if you're like, how do I get this to 100 times the people? You probably wouldn't worry about this at all. And so I think it's like, why don't we like, that's where I probably try to attack that problem. Why don't 100 times more people know about me? And is any of the things that I'm tinkering in the group the things preventing that? If not, then that's where I'm gonna focus my attention.
Hi. Okay. You mentioned peers. So I was wondering, like, when I started my community, I thought like the majority of value is going to come from the courses and filling it up and stuff like that. But after talking to the users, the community is like the ultimate factor. They always get surprised. They're like, I don't. It's just like it's the thing that keeps them in for. You're laughing, so I'm like getting.
No, like this was like the whole catalyst for why Skool. Like, Sam had his whole story about seeing that everybody would log in, watch a couple things, but then all of their engagement was inside of the community. So
yeah. So I was wondering, like, are there plans to make like tiers? Access different parts of categories. So for example, we have beginners and okay. So we have beginners that can access, the beginner level stuff. They get upgraded, they get to intermediate stuff. They upgrade again, they get to go to advanced stuff. So like, are there plans for that?
Maybe.
You can do that?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about community specifically. I'm not talking about the classroom. I mean, like,
so I think they were just asking about that.
good use of my question then.
Well, the issue is like fundamentally what problem are we solving? Is it that like, because the only reason to unlock features, like, is it going to improve the experience, which we can measure, like, does it decrease churn, does it increase ascensions, right? And so, and I mean, we just talked about some earlier data is like in 2 weeks they had more ascensions than they normally do, and it was without having that separation. That was kind of the whole discussion earlier. So
Are you using tiers right now?
Not yet.
So you can either use them, see how it goes, or wait until the people that are using them see how it goes. And then I'm going to see how it goes, and then we'll make a decision.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to. My theory is that it might work better without without segmenting everything. But we'll find out for certain. It's just going to take a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be one of those, like, can we have DM threads questions that will continue to happen forever.
Can you hear me? Hello. So congrats on the launch and looking forward to the attribution feature. One question on removing the sales team and leveraging brand is it takes a long time to build a brand, of course. So what priority would you put on building that brand so that you can later on leverage it to replace a sales team?
I mean, you could have a brand and a sales team and make a bunch of money too. Like, do you have a sales team right now? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say like stop having a sales team. I think that will probably make you less money in the short term for sure. I'm basically thinking about this as a different business altogether. Like, I'm not taking my sales team and letting them go. I still have a sales team, just in a different business. So I'm not saying like you're all disappearing. It's just like here, I know there's so much more leverage in terms of the number of eyeballs that I have access to. That's like, I couldn't have done the launch if I said everybody has to talk to a phone person in order to make this purchase. It would have literally been impossible. I had 400 people on the phones, 24 hours for the 3 days of the event. We had 750 people who got trained up. Insane, right? In order to do that. And the phones were responsible for like 12 million. It's just like, it's the scale that's there, like, it's just impossible to account for. So again, like, what I say for me isn't necessarily applicable for everyone. But no, I don't think that you should just like kill your phone team. I do think that if you know you're going to invest in the brand long term, the best day to do it was 20 years ago. No.
My brand is super small. So would you rather do more volume than putting more work on pre?
It's going to be an accordion. So it's kind of like the quantity quality thing. So anybody who's made content for an extended period of time, like a typical process is like, I have to make something. And then when you make something, if you make more than something, you get more than something. And then at some point you make so much something that you're like, man, I made 5 somethings and one of these somethings was responsible for like 80% of my output. You think, man, if I just took the amount of effort I take to make that one and I made it only 2 of them, I still get more views. And so then you cut from your many somethings to a few somethings that are better. And all of a sudden your production is the same in terms of output. And then you get better and better at doing that. And you're like, man, I've got 2 somethings. I'll bet you I could get to 5 something that quality. And then you get to 5 something that quality. And then one of those ones is even better. And you're like, oh, what did I do there? What if I just spent the time to make just the 2 somethings at that quality? And then you cut it back down. And so it's kind of an accordion that goes back and forth. Otherwise, you become a news channel and you have to post every hour. And there are for sure channels that do that and they maximize. But their advantage, like almost everybody who does like the extraordinarily high volume, is news because the content is made for them. But the long tail on that content is like zero because after the week's over, the day's over, it just becomes irrelevant. And so if you're are you an educator?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with education, it's going to be the quality almost more than anything. But you don't even know what quality is because you haven't done enough volume, enough repetitions to figure out like what works and what doesn't. And so I tend to prescribe volume as the first thing to do because you have this big data set that you can actually do something with. Until you have that data to look at of like, I did 100 videos, these 10 did better than the other 90. What was different? Until you get to there, it's very hard to like learn anything. So that's why I just tell people to do more in the beginning.
Would you still be super specific on the topics and everything to one specific avatar, or would you go broader at the beginning to try to grow faster?
So if we use the top, Evolve Skool, like he's very specific about who he talks to. I think the more specific you are about the avatar that you serve, you will not get the level of growth, but it can absolutely translate into income. So I wouldn't be super obsessed with that. There's the number of like $1 million businesses that I've seen that have less than 5,000 followers and still do everything organic. Like I've run out of fingers. There's a lot of people who just focus. Like the classic example that I give is there was a lady that I met who talked about how to bill insurance as an RN. That was her niche, was just specifically billing practices for RDs, registered dietitians, for insurance. That's all of her content. And her content, like on average, got like 28 likes per thing. And she was doing like $1 million plus a year, 90 whatever % margins in that business because guess who sees it? RDs who are billing insurance. Because right now, interest media rather than social media is kind of ruling the world. And so Andromeda had a big update in terms of being more specific about ads. And I would imagine, I'm guessing that the content engine is just as good, if not better, at figuring out exactly who you are. And so it already knows. The algorithm knows who your customers are. And the more you make it not about that, the less likely it is that they're going to see it. So I think the big day one decision that you have to make if you're making content is, am I making a personal brand that I'm making forever? Or am I making media to drive to a specific business? And so I think if you make that decision, if you're going personal brand, I'm going to keep it forever, then you're going to sprinkle in, ultimately the brand will end up being ideally a perfect reflection of you. Like when people meet you in real life, there should be no surprise. They should know that, oh, Alex is into fitness. He also has some dark philosophy. He also likes business stuff, right? And he can be a little bit hardcore, right? But I also have a weird sense of humor. And so like, that's me, right? And so do all of those things feed business? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but like, that's me. And I can do that for a long time. If I was like, I just have to make stuff for business, then I think it would pigeonhole the content, but it still for sure would drive more revenue. Like the highest grossing video that we have on that's like driven the most sales for us has like 180,000 views, which is for my channel, half of my channel average. But it's a very specific video about how to train a business. And so what's the answer? I think you decide whether you want to keep it forever or it's just a business thing, and then you can cater your content to that.
And with no longer having a sales team or considering that in the future for you, what kind of mechanism do you see yourself using? More of like a one-to-many similar to
It'll probably be a combination of things. It'll probably be a combination of video sales letter, probably some sort of text component. I don't know. Like I don't even want to answer because I haven't figured it out yet, but I will. When I figure it out, I'll let you know.
What's the most common blind spot communities around 10 to 25K have that takes them way too long to realize?
I was trying to find you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll ask again.
Can you say that?
Yeah. What's the most common blind spot communities that do 10 to 25K a month have that takes them way too long to realize?
It's an interesting question, especially since I couldn't find you. What's the most common blind spot? And I'm looking all over the place. Talent, their own talent. It's always that. Like if you get that right, you can almost fuck up everything else and be fine. Like if someone's good at something, then if they make a video, it'll probably crush. I think that's what everyone misses with Hormozy, is that he did business for like 10 years before he made a video on the internet about business, right? But I like to make it very simple. It's like if you're a skateboarder and you want to blow up, do you make a video talking about skating or do you go skate?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I think that's right. You can't really miss. And then the other stuff, if you get it right later, like get a good editor, make some shorts, it'll pop even more. So you still can take advantage of these other things. But I think most people obsess about the like little tactics and they're missing the actual thing. Have you seen that?
I mean, it was a great answer. That's the whole thing. So I was thinking about this because I was writing tweets yesterday in my 30 minutes a day that I work. And I was trying to think like, how do you quantify X factor? Because there's for sure a thing, like what gives someone like that je ne sais quoi, right? I know I'm full of it today. And I actually think that it's depth across multiple domains that do not typically sit together. So it's like, if we think about like Joe Rogan as an example, politics aside, like why does he amass so much interest, right? Because he's interesting. So like he has some X factor. He's super deep in MMA. He's also an exceptional comedian. He also really deep in like biohacking and health and all of that jazz. Really likes space and aliens. And then now also has his political stuff that he's into. But he's really deep in all of them. And so I think that like if you have somebody who, like most people take their personalities off the shelf, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to wear flannels and trucker hats and drink some sort of brewed beer, and I will probably have conservative values, and this is going to be my playbook for life. When you meet that guy, in 5 seconds, you're like, I get it. Not very interesting. It's a pattern match. It's like, oh, this guy can't, like he bought his personality off the shelf. He didn't want to think about it for himself. And so he just everything. Now, if that same guy all of a sudden was like super like pro gay rights, just throwing it out there, not to be political, but I'm just saying like that would be not, you wouldn't have expected that. And then if that guy has some sort of like philosophical slant that shows a lot of depth of thinking that you wouldn't have expected, you're like, huh, I didn't expect that. And so all of a sudden your brain goes, huh, this does not match the pattern that I expected. I was not able to predict this. And then as a result, I have to pay attention to update my schema of how the world works, or at least how this individual works. And so in thinking about that, it's the number of skills that you can demonstrate depth within that don't typically go together. And I think that tends to be an indication of somebody who's high agency. So they're able to make up their mind on their own independently. And when you do end up thinking for yourself, you end up being very unique because you're not, oh, I'm a Republican and they have these list of things that they believe in, or I'm a Democrat and I have these list of things I believe in, or I'm a country guy, or I'm a musician, or I'm a whatever, and I will then follow all of these other things. It's the guy who's, well, I'll just leave that. You get the idea. I'll stop.
Great, thank you.
And if you have talent and that, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So my question is in regards to the correlation between content and context. Right? We said again, the whole big thing here is that there's a community aspect. In terms of content, so there are courses and all that stuff, most or many communities have a starting point of a quick win, 10 days to this, 90 days to that, 10 kilograms, and whatever. So if I'm looking at retention after that, again, it comes back to your question of, I have to put more courses in, more content. What would you say can drive more attention on a long term where the base of the content is framed in a time frame?
I think you're talking about like promises.
No, so like if I have a community, 90 days to lose 10.
It's like what happens on the 91st day.
Exactly. Like how to actually keep people.
Well, it converts better, right? But it will also have higher churn.
It's a trade. The more you promise, the lower the bar for saying yes, but also they have less reason to say yes, and so they have more reason to say no, which means they'll leave. It's a trade. Like the perfect world is one where you say, I will promise you absolutely nothing. And you should buy it only if you're this very rare type of person, and it may or may not suck. And if someone buys at that point, the likelihood that they churn is significantly lower than like, I'm going to save your life in 30 days. So the expectation is significantly lower. That's just a trade that you make.
Yeah. And in regards to the community being a factor, like, okay, after these 90 days, the community is what?
So two things. So one is the qualifications piece that I was referencing earlier. Are they staying for other people? Or are they staying for you? If they have to stay for you, then you always have to be generating stuff to stay for everyone else. Everyone else already does the generation on their own. The other piece, shoot, I had it. So it's making sure that whatever problem you solved with the first 90 days, there's probably a clear problem that when that is solved, when that first problem is solved, you create another problem. Like all problems lead to more problems. And so as long as you're clear about what that new problem is, that becomes continuity. And so the classic example that I've given, that I've seen, the people who have phenomenally low churn inside of Skool that do create, that are not that are not high qualification, but are actually high on the delivery themselves, are people who have consumable deliverables. So it expires functionally. So it's like the one-time thing, the 90-day thing, the course or whatever it is that you get to convert people on the front end, ideally should be sort of like a black box of like, this is a system to do, lose weight, to get your marriage fixed, to make money, whatever it is, right? This is the system. But the best in terms of decreasing churn and increasing stick is going to be, I give you this thing one time, you learned it. But in order to run that machine, you still need to buy ink from me, right? You still need to get the hot list of wholesaling real estate addresses that are new this week, and next week they're going to be different. And the 3D printing community, which we saw, like he had 2 or 3% churn monthly, and it was because he would find his own team would scrape and figure out what are the top ranked 3D printing products that are selling right now, and then he'd already taught everyone how to do the 3D printing, and so they stayed so that they could get whatever that news is. So it's like, how can I have that blend of education and news functionally, that consumable? And then that's if you're in a broadcast kind of community where you're the one providing the value and the deliverable. That is what I've seen like works really, really well. If it's not, hey, everybody in here provides value for each other.
Hello, you guys hear me? Okay. My name is Joel. I'm part of the Spanish speaking market, and I want to thank you guys. You guys changed my life. I moved from Hallmark, and it's been 4 months on the school. We already passed $100,000 a month. I'm like, it's insane.
It's working for somebody. How's your conversion rate?
Well, right now we're doing higher than 5%.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to talk. All of you
we don't
guys that
do.
landed in America.
I've never done wrong ads. It's organic. I don't even know how to do ads. So I got quick questions for you guys. 3 questions. Number one, free trials. I hate free trials, but I mean, we've been actually doing it for the past 7 days. We've been getting 40 customers a day. We don't know what the number's going to be, but I hate to see my MRR going down instead of going up. But what do you guys think about free trials? Should I continue? Or?
Well, I like them when they work.
That's
and
a
I
math
don't
problem.
when they don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it seems like you just need to wait 7 more days and you'll have an answer.
Okay.
So just remember that when there's free trials, there are 2 conversion points instead of 1. And so you'll have an increasing conversion on the landing page, and then there's another conversion that's going to decrease by because you have the conversion into paid, right? And then the third vector, not to get this too complicated, is that people post free trial. I'm pretty sure we have the data on this. Like post free trial, the churn is lower because they kind of already tried it out. Whereas when you make the first purchase and then you get in, the churn will be higher in that first month for non free trial versus free trial. So you basically just have to put an Excel sheet together that says like number of people, like it goes back to earnings per click, like I was saying. If I get 100 clicks to this page, this percentage of people take a trial, this percentage of people turn into paying customers, and the LTV of that customer with the new return is X. In the other example, you already have data on this. We had 100 clicks, we get this many people who convert, and the churn on that is this. And then just reverse it to which of these numbers at the top is higher. So it's just math. And you probably need to wait 7 days.
All right. So should I stay for like the entire month to wait, to get at least the data for 1 month?
Well, if you back out now, you'll never know, right?
That's right.
And then you'll probably wonder.
Because you can always go back, right? Like this thing is like you can always go back if you find out, then you're like great, and you never do think about it again. So if you had a 4x increase in conversions, we just need to make sure that, like, let's say your conversion on the back is 50%, then you still doubled your sales, and those customers are probably going to stick longer.
Yeah, but I mean, I hate when I see them that they join the free trials and they cancel right away. Some of them I kick them out manually. Like,
We just have to do the math. If half of them cancel, you still double. If 2/3 of them cancel, you're still up by 50%. If 3/4 of them cancel, you're net even. Now, the only caveat, not to add more complexity to this, is part of the reason you probably got more people to convert is that when you say, hey, you can start my group for free versus, hey, go buy my group, you will get more people to click over. So again, I'm not trying to like earnings per click is there, but there's also the other side of it, which is what's the cost per click. Now, you're organic and you're probably not thinking about cost, but functionally, it's like if you make a piece of content and you get 3 times as many clicks from that because your CTA is free, then that also factors into it. And I wish I could give you like just do free trials, but it's just
when we're at Skool HQ, talk to me and I'll pull up your stats on my computer. I'll have a look because especially how you're crushing it in Latin America.
yeah, I started Skool beginning of the year, and then we had a rough month and everything, and then we decided I was doing on YouTube, and then my team decided to do Instagram as well, and then in 4 months we went from 20 something to 100,000 in Skool. And I mean, community likes Skool a lot. Like even my wife asked me, "What is Skool?" And I said, "It's just like Facebook for people who want my money." But it looks like Facebook, but I mean, like it's like my clients are erasing the app from Facebook and using Skool. Like it's a lot better.
Well, congrats on going from 20 to 100,000.
Thanks. And thank you guys. I have another question about affiliates. Will you guys consider about doing instead of 1 level of affiliate, 2, 3 levels of affiliate?
You can't legally in the US.
Okay.
I didn't even answer for, but like it becomes like so there are
MLM, literally.
yeah, it's literally an MLM.
Okay.
So you're limited legally.
Okay, that's good. And the last question is about recurring payments. That's my mark right there. Most of my customers are from Colombia, Mexico. Some of their banks, when the credit card, when the card is debit card instead of credit card, the first payment goes through, but the recurring payment does not go through. We've been facing that a lot. So is something that you guys could do to help us with that?
And the currency will definitely help. I think that's part of it. But are they used to paying with cards or another payment method?
Well, card.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we're aware of it. Let's talk about it today too. Because I'm actively working on this right now, by the way. So I'm very interested. But the currency, if you charge in local currency, authorization rates go up, right? That's part of it. But there's some other details too. So we're aware of it. We're definitely going to make it better. Let's talk about it. It's amazing that it's not in their language. It's not in their currency. It has all these issues, and yet still. So imagine what it'll do if it didn't have those problems.
When it comes to qualifying, obviously that happens on the front end of like when somebody joins. What do you do for the people that are already in, have been in for a while, and were maybe not qualified properly?
Well, I think it's a question of like, do you want to still serve them? Like, are they paying? Do you want to still serve them?
I feel like this is a question I go back and forth on. Like I would like to, but then I look at like the overall group, and I'm like, it definitely hinders. Like they take up a lot more time on the group calls. They maybe don't apply the things that other people are applying.
Right now, there's probably like 2 people that you have in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just kick them out.
Okay.
It was like, how many people?
Sometimes you can just tell them like, hey, look, change this, or
warning first. Warning first. Don't just like boot them, but like warning.
Yeah.
My whole thing is if I even have to think about them, and if I even for a moment I'm like dreading doing something, that's where it immediately I know that problem has to be removed. Because if they make you dread what you do and they're taking up thought cycles, like it's a waste.
Yeah, it brings a lot of anxiety to the calls because I'm like, I know this person. Yeah, I mean, just because they take up so much time, and then you sit
But
there
what about
like,
the time after the call where you're thinking about it?
Right.
Yeah.
And it definitely ruins the call for everybody else, but like, for you and them.
And they're going to be thinking about it after the call too.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, like warning shot, but after that, like you have to weed a garden, otherwise you get weeds.
First of all, I want to thank Kirby because I was part of the 100, and before that I was super confused. Now we're here, so thank you, Kirby.
There's 2 shout outs.
And everyone here. So yeah, right now we're in the high ticket space, but we're attracting so many people accidentally, let's say. Because we're trying to have a targeted people, but we have like 8 million views organically. And we're thinking of why not make low ticket, because the founder, I'm a growth operator, the founder doesn't really want to do calls anymore. So I'm thinking, should we just start doing low ticket and stop that high ticket to make it scalable?
So does he not want to deliver for the high ticket thing anymore?
He wants, but he doesn't want.
He wants to make the money from the high ticket thing and not do the delivery of the high ticket thing.
Yeah, I technically do a lot of the delivery.
What are the calls? Is there like one-on-ones or like how many? Like
yeah, there's a lot of one-on-ones, but also the group calls.
So it's probably the one-on-ones.
Yeah,
I would see if you can remove the one-on-ones and keep it high ticket. Like generally you can. It's often a trap. Yeah.
Admiral Akbar. Yes, I mean like there's for sure you can sell high ticket with group calls. You can also, as an intermediary, you can do semi-private. So you can do like 1-on-6 or 1-on-7. You'll 6x the capacity. You'll hit the same issue in like a year, and then you'll have to eventually get to group. But sometimes people have a hard time like emotionally getting through that. So you can get 2 transitions. But if you know you're gonna end up in group calls anyways, like you can still keep the same price point to everything. You still get access just in this format.
I found everyone tends to do one-on-ones longer than they need to. They swear it's the thing. It's like if I can't let go of the one-on-one. Yeah.
And when would you say we can kind of branch to low ticket?
I want to piggyback what Sam just said about the one-on-one and let me answer your thing. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with starting with one-on-one, because if you're brand new, it's like the only kind of like value you can provide in some ways if you're like not an expert or you're just learning the stuff. But once you do one-on-ones for a year, you know that there's 5 problems, and this is how you solve problem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can show you how to solve them 100 ways because I just did a whole year of one-on-ones, and so that's what allows you to basically build the productized version or the more scalable version. So I wouldn't see it as like, oh, I wasted my time doing this. It's like you earn the right to scale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
just so he can not feel bad.
Yeah, we're right there.
Cool. What was the other question?
No, it's just now productizing it and making it just low ticket.
Well, you could not make it low ticket and keep it high ticket and just use the narrative I just said.
Sounds good.
You see, you got to like, there was a problem, he doesn't like calls, and then you knee-jerk reacted to low ticket. But really, what if you just got rid of the one-on-one calls? Like, minimal invasive surgery is like kind of how I think about it. Like, if there's a problem, try to get in and get out without touching an artery, you know?
Okay.
It's like the building example. Like if we hit refresh, it's like the likelihood that this building is now going to be higher when we change 7 of the bricks is unlikely.
That makes my life easier. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, easy is good.
I have another question. Sorry. Well, it says my support team is texting me. They want to know if it's possible on the Zoom calls like the one we use now in school, to instead of mute all, it's right there, but to mute all them and do not give them access to open the mic again.
I mean, I'm sure we can do it. But you don't want to do a webinar though?
Well, the thing is that on my calls is like 600 people sometimes, and
so why not use a webinar? Because then there's no grid. It's just your video and anyone else you want to bring up. Have you tried a webinar in school?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, dude, that's what you need.
That's what it's built for.
It's built for you to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
We solved that one.
Thank you. I'll look into it.
So I'm from the Fortnite gaming niche. So my question was about one-off products and one-off offers. I spent like 5-6 years just doing one-off masterclasses, very low ticket, like 25, 40. And how to transition that into Skool? I want to like swap my whole funnel into Skool. I really like the platform, and I think it would be good to swap all of those products into Skool. But what's the best way of doing that? Through tiers, like Matt was saying, or through? I know you can do like classrooms that are locked that you pay for. But what would you say is the best way?
Well, you run Skool games. You must be doing something. What are you doing?
I do YouTube, and then
well, I mean, on Skool. I mean, how are you doing it?
that is just a $9.
What would you think about playing a game?
And is it working?
It's going all right. Yeah.
Can you do more?
Yeah, I definitely could. But I want to swap over the, the one-off offers into.
Oh, I see.
What's
Why don't you just put them all in there and just charge, like, if you just point all of that traffic to there, then now you've just got one offer that includes everything you used to have. You'd have to do the math. Like, I don't know what all of that is, but it might just work out.
Okay. What do you think about doing with tiers? They pay for the higher tier and then they get everything else included.
I think if you have to ask me if you should use tiers, you probably shouldn't.
Okay.
But if you really have a great idea of tiers, you should.
What's the best way to add value with tiers? I know a lot of people here just have a one-off offer.
Because we talked about this yesterday, and you said, it's a you've seen a few examples that didn't work. So how
I think we're not going to know if it works or doesn't, at least for another like 30 days, right?
Yeah. So I've raised my price to $99 last year, and that was making it harder for me to grow because I mainly grow from cold traffic with ads, and that was just a little bit too high of a price point to keep scaling beyond a certain point. And so I used tiers to lower the price point, basically just giving the community and the challenge, right? So adding, like if you think everybody that was in there, they were grandfathered in, and then introducing a lower tier where it's just the community and a challenge. So you could consider testing something like that, where it's like a kickoff challenge, and then they have the community. Then you have a higher tier for all the courses, all the work that's in there right now. And then in the annual, you could add the one-off product with a, what people really love for the annual is when they have lifetime access to stuff. Because then the annual feels like, oh, I'm not leaving and I leave everything behind, I walk away with something. So the VIP tier is just the annual pulled out. Does that make sense? That lifetime for the one-off things. So they feel like, I'm walking away with something tangible. When I cancel the community, I still keep something. No, on Skool. They can just download it. You just put it in a PDF and it's it.
I think a good way to look at tiers is what happened with Skool. Basically, Skool had one tier, it was $99. And then if you checked why people were canceling, number one reason is too expensive.
Yeah.
We speak to people, Skool's too expensive. We should probably add a second tier. It was like, it wasn't a risk to add a second tier. We knew that people needed it. But what I see with tiers is people just add it just because. There should be like a clear reason to add it because it adds complexity, it adds confusion to the buyer. With the conversion rate now, people have to decide. I would just have one tier, wait until there's a clear need, and then only add it if you need it, if that makes sense.
I actually have got like 8 different funnels, all going to different places like ClickFunnels, Skool. Just too complicated. I want to simplify it and
you'll probably make a lot more by just not having to manage all of the other. Yeah. Because functionally, it's like, where does more pay off? More pays off on promotion, right? On the front end. And then once you have the conversion mechanism, ideally, it's like, you just know the math of how many dollars you make on a click. And then it's like, great, my life is now, how many clicks can I drive to this thing? Makes life really easy.
Another idea is like what Hormozy's doing with his group. He has a workshop every month. You could take all of those courses you were selling, put it in your classroom, and then unlock it month 1, month 2, month 3, so that people stay for a long time.
Yeah, the biggest reason people cancel is, besides price, is overwhelm. Right? There's actually too much stuff. Which, like, if there's anything that I can maybe inspire some people to do, which is do fewer better things. Like we literally do one workshop a month. That's it. That's all I do. But if the workshop is, and for a business owner that obviously can afford $3,000 a month, if that workshop people pay $6, $10, $12, $15,000 just to travel and everything else. It's like, well, if that pays more than that, then this is a steal. But I spend time on making sure that it's like really good rather than like, oh, I've got 9 things I have to deliver on and they're all mediocre. Like attention is so rare.
I like typing,
like I think
but
Sam's done a really good job
actually
with
like
and Kirby.
typing that
I
much.
think a really good job with School News. Like I watch all.
Whole
You guys all watch all the
thing
School News?
is damn
Right. Yeah, I do
hard.
too. I got notes on Tuesday, and I pretty much always watch it on Tuesday at some point during the day. Because it's super bite sized. It's 20, 30 minutes. It's high signal to noise. Like it's super concentrated. And I think I kind of think the same way of like once a week. I mean, I'm at once a month. Mine are a little longer. But most people like watch it with their teams. It's like a 3-hour thing, and I just get really deep on something. But that's it's like that extra depth is where I think the value is.
So I'm with Pickleball School and Savvy Basketball, and
actually,
the way we've been using tiers so far.
rug
So we're discussing
pull
is there a
before the
better
school
way,
game.
and we're kind of taking the Sam route of like let's wait and see. But one way we're using it is we actually get a lot of annuals, and we always have because we focus on it. We're 55% with Pickleball School and about 48% with Savvy Coaching. And so what we use the tiers for is the 3 prices: monthly, annual, and then we have a decoy price that's like $5,000. And the idea is like, can this help us drive more people, even more people to annual? So that's one way we thought immediately this will add value to us because now we get those 3 prices, the psychology of it. So I just wanted to share that because that's how we've been using tiers so far.
Super good.
Okay, last one. Okay, I keep hearing you say something order of magnitudes. Is that like a way of thinking or decision making that you?
It's like add zeros to something.
Like add zeros to something.
Yeah. So if you like a 10x or 100x, like
is it like relevant to like business owners at all levels, or is that something like you?
it's really with statistics, but like just think bigger. Like a lot bigger. Like he's orders of magnitude better. It's like standard deviations in like a populace or any kind of like you have a normal curve. And so with every standard deviation you put against the norm, you have an order of magnitude.
Okay, got you. I had 2 more questions. Is that all right? It was a question about personality traits. I'm not sure if this is like, and both of you can answer. I'm not sure if this is something that you've really thought about or in terms of like shaping your beliefs when it comes to growing as a business owner and getting to a point where you really want to do something big. Because I notice like when I see you speak or Sam speak or Elon speak, like these big business owners, they have similar personality traits that like, I feel like all business owners should have if they want to do something really great. So I'm not sure if that's something you guys have thought about or have an answer for. I just focus on the thing, and when you do the thing a lot, it tends to change you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not intentional personality traits; it's just what seems to work to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Just ask them. We'll just do it.
Well, I would just translate instead of personality traits, just think like what are the behaviors? Because personality traits can be these really amorphous words that we like toss around. That's like just coming down to like what are the behaviors that increase the likelihood that I get this outcome. So if I do lots of things mediocre versus one thing really well, what will the market reward? Probably one thing really well. A lot of the simple advice is hard in practice because focus is so difficult and delaying gratification is so hard.
So just focus and delaying gratification.
Yeah, you got to work on something for a really long time in order to get good. And so like volume, like doing a lot of work on something inherently will take longer than you think it will. And in order to do a lot of work on something, you cannot work on other things. And so to maximize volume, you do one thing for a long time. And that's where the codes of paint come in, or the depth of understanding. Like Sam has an unbelievable knowledge around insurance, like building out all the dashboards for you guys, like the robust stuff that you guys have. Like cohort, there's so many different like layers to it. Because originally you're like, oh yeah, 10% insurance. So it's like of what cohort, over what period of time? Like does it even out at some point? Sometimes it just degrades. Like there's a lot more to it. And you only get that level of understanding by just sitting with problems for long periods of time. And I think the people who do best, like you can solve, like many people can solve a problem and one solution can be significantly better than another. And typically you don't arrive at that solution without really working through it because the obvious solution is the one that everyone else also did, which does not make you unique.
My last question was about questions. So it's just a question about questions, like asking better questions, especially like when you're on your own, like when you're not here, or for people who are watching this video, they don't get a chance to be here. And so I'm not sure if there's like, I don't know, like an approach or a way of thinking you use to just think like, is this a dumb question? Can I answer this myself? Or is this a question that actually needs maybe like an actual mentor or just more resources that I need to search for?
Like Sam has some
I always just say like, what is the problem? That's it, right? Just like, not to anyone else. I just ask myself. Yeah. And I'm like, I just ask it again and again and again. And then when you define the problem, the answer immediately appears. The problem was that you didn't know what the problem was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you find you don't ask other people a whole lot of questions and you get really good at that.
Yeah.
Unless the answer isn't immediately obvious.
Gotcha. Okay. So
then you might ask who else has experienced this problem.
Yeah.
Right?
How did they solve it?
Yeah.
Like our Spanish bros.
I did have a few other questions here though. The business questions, if it's okay to ask. We got the whole day at the headquarters. Yeah, we got a whole day. Yeah, no, it's honestly a better setting to ask the questions later. Okay. Yeah.
Just not
I
a
got you.
good diagram at all.
Right.
Good.
Oh, that's the end of the school games one. Interesting. Oh, I do want to watch that, the Hormozy. All right, let me get distracted. We're watching this one before we're watching Nate. We are going to watch Alex Hormozy talk about how to make content in 2025 because I will need to pivot.
We got 32.7 million views on YouTube this month. Here's how. So I posted 35,000 pieces of content this year. We did a $100 million book launch for $100 million money models in 72 hours for 3 days. We did over $100 million in sales. The issue that most people struggle with is that you're making not enough content, number one, and the types of content that you're making are not attracting the types of customers you want. The promise that I have for you today is that I will show you a framework that I have called SPCL, like special if you want, but it's how to build influence rather than how to get as many views as possible or anything like that. All right, but it's a 4-part framework, and I want to break down each of the 4 components for you so that you can think about how you want to approach making content, all right, and building a brand in general. SPCL, these are letters, and hopefully overhead cam works all right. So S,
PCL. So what do these actually stand for? All right. So number one is status. And this is why you hear me talk about proof so much. But how do you define status from an operational perspective? For those of you who are new to the channel, I like to operationalize things, meaning like I like to look at objective reality and describe how you would see with your eyes, rather than try and put a whole bunch of like emotional words around stuff. Because these are like that type of language is what confused me for a very long time when I was coming up. And it was only after I started defining things by what I could see, what I could observe, did reality feel like sharper, more crisp to me, and my ability to predict what was going to happen next increased by a lot. And so this is why I talk in this way. So how do I find status? So status is someone who controls reinforcers in a given environment. So that's a little bit fancy word, but fundamentally, if you control the good stuff that people want, then you will have status no matter what it is, right? And so the simplest example I have is like if you go to a bar and it's a busy bar and there's a bartender and you have to get the bartender's attention in order to get a drink or booze, that guy in that moment has status. He controls a scarce resource, right? But if that guy walks out of the bar, no longer controlling that scarce resource, he does not have the same status or even close to it, right? Like outside of the bar, he's not getting tips every single 5 seconds when he like moves his hands a little bit and like says something nice. People aren't waving money at him as he walks in the street. Of course not. It's because he has status in one condition and he doesn't have another. Now, what's interesting about all 4 of these elements I'm gonna break down, they all can work independently, but the idea is that you want all 4 to be stacked together. And this is what gives you the most influence, right? So like any of these 4 on their own would give you influence. Like that bartender, if he just has that, he would have some level of influence. And I'll give you a different example of this. If a kid inherits money, right, they're going to have status, right? Like if you have money, even if you didn't earn it, even if you didn't anything, if you have money, you will have some degree of status because you control something other people want, period. That's how it works, all right? But would that kid who has money have the same status as a kid who has money who also gave you, 10 different crypto coin picks that all popped off, right? Well, if he gave you 10 different picks and you followed them and they all popped off, how much more influence would that person have over them saying, hey, you should put money in this, or hey, you should, give me money for XYZ or whatever it is. Obviously, I'm talking money because I'm a business person first, but like think about how much more influence version 2 would have, which is 2 of those things, versus version 1. That's the difference. But if you have all 4, that's when you become super sad. So status is number 1, so you control scarce resources. Power is number 2. I would say if I had to only pick one, I would pick power, and I'll explain why. Power comes from something in the behavioral dynamics world called say-do correspondence. What that means is if I say something and then you do it, and then a good thing occurs, a reinforcing event happens afterwards, you are more likely to comply with a following request, right? So said differently, I give you the example of the guy who says, hey, here's 10 stock picks, you buy them, and then a good thing happens. The thing goes up. Great. So that person has status and power, which is why they are more influential than the trust fund kid who just has money. And so to the same degree, for many of you who are trying to make content, one, it's like, okay, status, I want to demonstrate that I control a scarce resource that some people might want, right? And so what makes this a little bit more muddied is that sometimes one event can check multiple boxes. And so I'll give you a simple example. When we launched the book, we did 100 million plus in sales. That in and of itself, me having money from the event gives me status. Me saying, hey, you can launch stuff in this way, gives me credibility, right? Because I show that I have an event, I have something that has happened as a result of me doing it that gives me third-party credibility. There's something that you can observe with your eyes, right? The reason that my ads do well when I have my $10 million building behind me is like, oh, well, that's hard to fake, right? And so you have credibility there. And so one event, like selling a company, can give you money, it can give you credibility. And then if I give people directions on how they can do things that are similar, and then good things happen, then all of a sudden you get power. And then the last is likeness. I know I'm skipping around, but hey, we're live, we're having a good time. All right. And so credibility is number 3. And I'm going to go in more detail on all these. All right. And then likeness. So what's likeness? So likeness is that you see some people say relatability. This can be both psychological in terms of you share similar values with this person. You like their vibe, whatever you want to say, right? You like their behavior set, and that behavior set matches to people who have been positive in your life in the past, or they literally just look like you, right? So like Layla and I can talk about the exact same stuff, but she's a girl. And so she's going to have more chicks who follow her than me. And for the few ladies who do follow me, I appreciate you. I really do. But I have like an 89% male audience. And so maybe it's because of the topic, but I would think, at my onset, I think, oh, it's because I talk about money and I talk about business. That's why I have more male audience. But Layla, I think, is like 54% female. And she talks about almost exclusively money and business. Obviously, she talks about some mindset stuff too. But I say this to say, okay, if we have these 4 things, and these are the things that create influence, and I would define influence as high likelihood of compliance with requests. So what does that mean? So if I say, hey, grab my new book, right? I say, hey, come to this webinar. Hey, I'm going live. Like, come check it out. Or hey, you should come to a workshop. Whatever it is, right? You make some sort of solicitation. It could be like or subscribe. It doesn't matter. Like, there's levels of how big of an ask something is. If anybody's played like a video game, it's like you have like a role for like Dungeons and Dragons, and it like depends on how charismatic, how much influence you have, how high of a role or how low of a role rather you need in order to be successful with the request, right? And so if you want to stack that stat for you, then if you want to min-max your influence, if you will, then you want to stack all 4 of these things. Okay, you're like, okay, I think I'm following with this. So how does this relate to content? So first off, starting from the back, likeness, I think so much more of it is just be you. There's zero ROI in trying to be or act in a way that is different than who you are. It's a relatively trite message, but like most people are NPCs. Most people say pre-recorded scripts. They look at like the 4 different outfit, combinations that exist for different kind of mental stereotypes. It's like, oh yeah, guy who loves barbecue and craft beers. Oh yeah, that's that archetype. I'm just gonna be that archetype. Or you've got like hipster bro who likes hipster shit, right? Or you've got like just bro, right? You've got just like sure bro. And people, some will put me in that status, but I also like for a few years was wearing like sandals that looked like really weird, and I wore those, and that was not bro-y at all. But like I wore them because they were super comfortable, and I didn't have to like wear socks. Which was a big thing for anyways. The point is like I think what makes you unique is if you actually lean into the nuances that make you you, and actually have a way to defend why you do what you do. Because most people don't even think about why they do what they do. And if you do things and you don't know why, it's because you're following someone else's directions for your life rather than your own. Real. And so much of us have been programmed by people earlier in our lives. And I say programmed as though we were like machines, but what person do you think in your life has super high max status, power, credibility, like maxed out earlier on in your life? It's your parents, right? It's your parents. So think about all 4 of these elements. Status. Do your parents control control scarce resources, things you want. They've got money and they've got toys that they can buy you. They've got food. They act like they control your shelter. Like they have huge amounts of status in your life because they control all the scarcest resources, all the things you want. These are not binaries. So don't think like, oh, I have status, I don't have status. It's to what degree do you have status, right? Like if somebody's got more money than you, they might have some status. If you've got $1, someone's got 10 grand, they got more status, right? But if someone's a billionaire, they have way more status than the guy who's 10,000, right? So again, think not in binaries, yes or no, but think in continuums. So the next one is think about your parents' power. How many reinforcement cycles do you assume that your parents had from the time you were born? When I say reinforcement cycles, it means like they said, do this, you did that thing, and then a good thing happened. Now, you might be like, I hate my dad or hate my mom or whatever your thing is. I don't really care. That doesn't matter for this purpose. The idea is that they probably said, don't go in the street or don't do that. And you avoided a bad thing or do this and then a good thing happened, right? You tied your shoes the first time, you put the two bunny ears together, you tied your shoes, a good thing happened. You followed their directions. Think about how many times a parent has given you directions, you followed them, and a bad thing was avoided or a good thing happened. Many. And so it makes sense that not only do they have a lot of status, they have a lot of power. What else do they have? Credibility. Now, this is one where I think parents sometimes might lack compared to the other things. If you have a parent who also has credibility in that specific, realm of whatever it is that they're talking about, then you have even more influence on you. And then finally, for parent, are they like you? Yeah, they literally look like you, right? And oftentimes they share similar values to you to a degree. Obviously, some people just go polar opposite from their parents. That's fine, but I'm talking in sweeping generalities for most people. This should at least explain or break down like why do parents have so much power over us? How do they have so much influence over our behaviors? You might not even want to listen to your parents. You might even like your parents, but you can still feel that you have to like resist their requests because you are so programmed based on these elements of behavior to comply with their requests, all right? And so then the idea is, how do we take these 4 elements and then how do we reverse engineer these into the content we have so that we can build up true influence? Like, and again, we're defining influence as the likelihood of compliance with the request, right? And that likelihood will depend on the nature of the request and how much your SPCL is in relation to that thing, right? If I was giving out fashion tips, I probably don't have a lot of credibility for fashion tips, right? I don't know if I control any scarce resources around fashion. I have no fashion hookups. I probably haven't given anyone specific fashion tips. I have no third-party anything for credibility for it. And you probably don't look like me. And so like, I probably would have very low influence. To some degree, they can generalize as you go up and up and up, but this is some people say relatability. This can be both psychological in terms of you share similar values with this person. You like their vibe, whatever you want to say, right? You like their behavior set, and that behavior set matches to people who have been positive in your life in the past, or they literally just look like you, right? So like Layla and I can talk about the exact same stuff, but she's a girl, and so she's gonna have more chicks who follow her than me. Yeah. And for the few ladies who do follow me, I appreciate you, I really do. But I have like an 89% male audience, and so maybe it's because of the topic. But I would think, at my onset, I think, oh, it's because I talk about money and I talk about business. That's why I have more male audience. But Layla, I think, is like 54% female, and she talks about almost exclusively money and business. Obviously, she talks about some mindset stuff too. But I say this to say, okay, if we have these 4 things, and these are the things that create influence, and I would define influence as high likelihood of compliance with requests. So what does that mean? So if I say, hey, grab my new book, or I say, hey, come to this webinar, or hey, I'm going live, like come check it out, or hey, you should come to a workshop, whatever it is, right? You make some sort of solicitation. It could be like or subscribe. It doesn't matter. Like there's levels of how big of an ask something is. If anybody's played like a video game, it's like you have like a role for like Dungeons and Dragons, and it like depends on how charismatic, how much influence you have, how high of a role or how low of a role rather you need in order to be successful with the request, right? And so if you want to stack that stat for you, then if you want to min-max your influence, if you will, then you want to stack all 4 of these things. Okay, you're like, okay, I think I'm following with this. So how does this relate to content? So first off, starting from the back, likeness. I think so much more of it is just be you. There's zero ROI in trying to be or act in a way that is different than who you are. It's a relatively trite message, but like most people are NPCs. Most people say pre-recorded scripts. They look at like the 4 different outfit, combinations that exist for different kind of mental stereotypes. It's like, oh yeah, guy who loves barbecue and craft beers. Oh, yeah, that's that archetype. I'm just gonna be that archetype. Or you've got like hipster bro who likes hipster shit, right? Or you've got like just bro, right? You've got just like stir bro. And people, some will put me in that status, but I also like for a few years was wearing like sandals that looked like really weird. And I wore those and that was not bro-y at all, but like I wore them because they were super comfortable and I didn't have to like wear socks, which is a big thing for me. Anyways, the point is just like, I think what makes you unique is if you actually lean into the nuances that make you you and actually have a way to defend why you do what you do. Because most people don't even think about why they do what they do. And if you do things and you don't know why, it's because you're following someone else's directions for your life rather than your own. Real. And so much of us have been programmed by people earlier in our lives. And I